Good morning. It's October 7th. And I am going to make a video about some cuttings I have growing. Little project that I've been sharing with you this summer. And perhaps some of you have been following along. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my persimmons graft of a couple of years ago, which is Nikita's gift, which is doing really well. It's making a lot of fruit for a little tree. And I've been eating a bunch of persimmons every single day. I'm just enjoying the ripe persimmons. They're so delicious. But let me concentrate now back on the purpose of this particular video. Oh, it's fun. It's always fun to go underneath the persimmons tree to say, Joe, I see some ripe persimmons I've got to pick. And I will as soon as I'm finished making. I'm under the tree now. It's like a giant umbrella. Just loaded with fruit everywhere. See if I can zoom in there for you. Isn't that lovely? How beautiful is that? Gosh, I'm going to just sit out here for another hour when I'm finished making this video. All these persimmons. Wonderful. And here's my little fig garden. These are from prior years. And I'm going to go over these very quickly. But first I want to tell you, I'm going to sit down here, relax. First I want to tell you what I'm doing here. Is I've just taken some water from the house that was overnight in the house where it's warm. And then I actually added some warm water to the containers so that it was lukewarm. And you might say, well, Lou, why'd you do that? See, I have it so that the water will flow, and it'll flow right on down and come on right on down to the last of these cuttings if I keep watering. Give it a couple there. Give these Black Madeira and the Volley San Juan. I've got to go get another container for the rest to dry too. These are Italian 258. I got to water them. But I've been paying attention to these about 3 or 4 weeks ago in September. I planted these Peter's honey. And I had a little discussion with you about, was it too late in September to plant cuttings? And I said I thought that I would get 4 good weeks. It's been cold out here though, very cold at night. And then I thought that I would be able to get these to root. And with any help from an Indian summer, which we're not really getting because the weather's been cold, especially out here in the country where I'm at. It's 10 degrees colder than in town. But I thought that that would be enough to get these Peter's honey, which are very vigorous, by the way, and I don't ever have trouble with Peter's honey like I do some varieties. But they are doing well. Not every one yet, but I can see this one's sprouting, see? Just a matter of time, that's starting. This has already started. These are underway. And these two are more than underway. They're doing fine. And they're going to be fine. And so why am I out here putting warm water on them? Well, I'm pouring thermal units of heat into the ground. Along with the geothermal heat of the earth, which holds its heat for a long, long time because of its enormous size and mass, we can give it a little help. As human beings, as gardeners, we can direct such things. We can make a difference without trying to trick Mother Nature. It's not tricking it. We're just simply adding some thermal units to the water and heating up the ground when we water them. And since cuttings require water often, it heats the ground up and it increases the root activity of the cutting. So even if you plant them in September, guess what? You can get them to begin to grow, to sprout roots. I'm happy to say. I've got plenty of cuttings for Peter's honey. I just wanted to demonstrate. I've got plenty of those. And I've got a plan. There's a reason why I'm doing this too, which I referred to in a previous video. I'm going to use these Peter's honey as rootstocks to graft on other varieties that I want to add to my collection in Virginia at 7B. This is 7A. And the reason why I've stated before, the reason why is because I have a nematode problem. Certain varieties are susceptible, like Ronde Bordeaux is very, very, I found out, very, very susceptible. And Peter's honey, which is closely related to Cadota, but not Cadota, Peter's honey is one of the most resistant nematode resistant figs there is, along with Cadota. There are people that say that LSU Purple, which is a hybrid, is even more resistant to nematodes, but that has not been my experience. And it has not been the experience of some of my subscribers. And I have done some research and reading, and let's just say the jury's still out on that, but I'll go with Peter's honey anytime. I know what Peter's honey can do. And so I've decided, and I'm going to do some, to further the research, I'm going to do some LSU Purple as well. I gave one to my brother-in-law several years ago. There's others in the vicinity at 7B location that I can get cuttings from. But for right now, I'm starting these. And I've got little baby figs growing at the bases of my other mature trees, so I can dig them up in the spring too. And I'm going to graft them, and I'm going to put Ronde Bordeaux in my other location because I just can't get it to grow. The nematodes are just tearing into it. It's horrible. I mean, they are really under assault. So that's my project. That's what I'm doing. It never ends when you're a figster. You find out new things. You're always going from one project to another. You're going from one variety to another variety and eliminating varieties and trying some over again under different conditions and different locations. You find a sweet spot, or you learn about the nematodes and you're going to try to circumvent that problem. It's just an ongoing process, and that's perfectly normal. And that's okay in gardening. And certainly if you're a figster, you're going to encounter these variations and things. There's so many variables. There's 1 million variables, as I like to say. Millions of variables and everything. Many, many variables. And so we live and we learn and we progress into the future. And hopefully we're the better for it. That's what we're doing. And it's working. Look at that. How cute. How beautiful. I love them. It's just my little babies. I love them. And I'll continue to give them warm water. And they will continue to sprout roots. And then I'll pile up a bunch of grass clippings for the winter time. I'm going to probably let them just stay here. And hopefully they will survive as they have survived in the past every year. So I can't complain. It's working good. Now these are my Italian 258s that I put in this year, you will remember. And I put them all in late around the solstice. Summer had already commenced. It was around June the 21st, right, maybe June the 18th, 19th, just prior to the solstice. And look at them, they've turned into beautiful. There's 4 of these here. 4 of the Italian 258s, and they're gorgeous. They're just very nice. I only need one, but I've got these earmarked. So that was very successful. Pull some grass here. And over here, let me break this leaf off. There, let's break this leaf away. There we go. Ah, what a nice, beautiful Italian 258 leaf. Look at that. This one actually looks a little bit like Peter's honey. Some of the, you can never go by the leaf patterns on most figs. They're so variable from year to year, from season to season, and even in one season you might find 4 or 5 different shaped leaves on a tree. But you can go with basic patterns. Some you can, like the Ronde Bordeaux is more definitive, I think, of the variety, and a little bit more reliable, if you can see the Ronde Bordeaux. But then this is Ronde Bordeaux too, and look at that. This one's not the same. I have 2 different types, the 2 different leaf types. The fruit is indistinguishable, one from the other. So, what do you say about that? I don't know. It's just something to mention. It's the world of figs. The world of figs is also an infinite world. And why do I say that? Well, because it is. We will never ever fully explore it and know everything about it. Nobody will. Nobody will ever know everything about it. It's impossible. It's nature. It's deep. It's just like for centuries and centuries, the so-called modern civilization thought they knew all about the biological world, the biota, the living organisms and such. And then they all of a sudden discovered this thing called a microscope. What did they learn by that? What? Well, they learned that there was an entire undisclosed, hidden, obscure world of living organisms that were so tiny that you couldn't see them with the naked eye, and yet they existed, and the microscope made it possible to see them. And when it did, we were able to view an entire different, almost universe of living things on a completely different scale than we were accustomed to. Wow. And that opened up the whole avenue, the whole gigantic approach to antibiotics, bacteria, and viruses. We were able to discover diseases and the causes of diseases. It opened up whole new chapters in the evolution of our intellectual progress as a species in the universe, in the world. Something that before the microscope was completely and totally and absolutely obscure and unknown. Unknown. So what don't we know about everything else? Well, a lot. I think the defining thing about our species is not our knowledge so much. I honestly believe this when I say it. But I think the most defining thing about our species is our ignorance. When we gaze into the vast universe, we gaze into the vast, our great ignorance of all that is. Talk about dark energy and dark matter. 85% of the universe is something that we don't even know what it is. We can't even define it. And the visible spectrum of the universe is only 15% of what we know exists by measuring the mass of the universe. So never think that we know it all. None of us are know-it-alls. Most of us are just bumbling imbeciles. I mean, I'll call myself that, not you. I admit that I'm a bumbling idiot. I don't mind it. I qualify it that way. And I find out new things. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying myself. Isn't that what it's really all about? The simple things. I just really enjoy the simple things. I take it a day at a time. Let's talk very quickly about some of the other varieties I have in here. Not long before these, I planted some Desert King. There's one. There's one. And there's one back there, that little guy back there. Can you see it back there? And there's another little guy over there. You see it? Where the Ronde Bordeaux leaf is hanging on it. Can you see it? I don't know. And around that time, I planted, very late in the season, some of my uncle's Valle, it's spelled Giovanni, but we pronounce it Valle San Giovanni, from a little province in Italy. You can look it up. Valle, V-A-L-L-E, San, S-A-N, Giovanni, Giovanni. That's where my uncle and my grandfather and one of my best friends that's now deceased came from. And it's a beautiful little town. The population right now is only 2,100 or something, because imagine what it was when my grandfather was a little boy, and my uncle. But they came out, they did very well, these Adriatic figs, and they're doing well, and you can see that they're doing well. I have a special plan for them because it's my favorite so far. It's my favorite Adriatic fig, and I've grown a lot of them. Battaglia Green, I've Strawberry Morte, and I mean J.H. Adriatic. I have some in my collection now, but it's my favorite. And part of that might be because of the sentimental value. It came from Italy. My uncle brought it from Italy. And I've kept it in the family for so long. But I do love and admire the taste of that one. And it's relatively early. And it's comparable to J.H. Adriatic in a lot of ways, which I think is a very good, fine tasting fig. I surely do. I don't think anybody needs to look any further than that, personally. But you can. Oh, look at that. Oh, a persimmons, a wonderful Sagio persimmons dropped off during the night. Oh, I see some real ripe ones up there. I got to get up on the ladder and get them. So the Desert King are doing okay. They're holding their own. The Valle San Giovanni, they're doing fantastically. And these that don't have a real green look to them, because of probably what they are, but they don't get enough sunlight here because they're in the shade, I've explained before. But these are Black Madeira, and the Black Madeira, there's 3 of them, and they all succeeded perfectly. I could have planted 100 of them and they would have all grown. Remember that. And these are planted late in the season. Okay, a little root coming up. Look at that, as far away from that's something. Okay, so now I've updated you. Some of these trees are being moved. These are Ronde Bordeaux. In the back I have Smith, and I'm going to move them. They're going to be transplanted in the spring. I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying myself. I hope that you are. Thank you for visiting. Remember, feed thermal units of heat into your cuttings if you plant them late. And even if you don't, if you want to just continue their root development so that it furthers it along and makes it more likely to succeed during the winter, do little things like that. And I like rainwater. I like collecting rainwater and then warming it. Here I added a little bit of spigot water because I wanted to heat up the units more. So some of the water came from the rainwater and it was in the house overnight to keep it warm. And then I added spigot water to make it even warmer, because I know that it will increase the activity at the root level and will help these and help to further these along to where they will have a better chance of survival during the winter, whatever I decide to do with them. And I think I'm just going to leave them right here. I've got a lot of other things that I would like to share with you today, not the least of which is an incredible persimmons harvest. But I promised Debbie I would keep this video short. I've had fun doing it. I'm going to go in and get some more coffee. We have a day trip to do. It's a beautiful, 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 magnificently wonderful day. I just love it. Love this day. There's a cool breeze. It's just gorgeous, isn't it? Take a look for yourself. It's just so nice. Life is good. We have to maintain a positive attitude, though. I like to tell everyone that life is 98% attitude and 2% altitude, meaning it's mostly attitude, which is not true. It's all those things blended together. But you get my point. I just try to drive my point home with further clarification, crystallize it, emphasize it, make it more noteworthy and understandable that attitude is a big thing in life. Don't you think? Look at this breeze. Look at that. That's another persimmons tree in the distance. See all the persimmons on it? It's another variety. That's an American variety. An odd one. Someday I never told the story about that one. It's loaded, even now. It's a very late variety. All the other American varieties are done, and they've been done a long time in my yard. They're always done in September. They're finished. But that one is just dropping its fruit. See how abundantly it is fruited? Okay. Enough on that. Good day.